Welcome to the That's Good Sports podcast. We have special guest Jake Plummer here today, which makes my name and Will's name irrelevant. Howard Stern got Tom Brady. Well, we one-upped Howard Stern yet again by landing Jake Plummer, the first quarterback to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. So, sorry, Howard. I know we keep stealing your thunder. But Jake, thanks for coming.
Too.
You're doing well. And before this podcast even started, Jake made sure Will and I were doing well, asked how everything was going because shit's crazy right now. So just know he's a good person. Before we even try to stump him with some tough questions later and
Thank you.
Get him going.
Oh yeah, we're throwing hard balls at you.
I'm ready for anything you got, man. You know, this social isolation thing, you don't get to see a lot of people. And so doing this is the way we interact with strangers now, or not strangers, but people that don't live right around me. And it's good to do it. It's good to see faces and people looking like they're enjoying or getting through, not enjoying, but getting through this with some enjoyment in their lives. Because if there's not something you enjoy, times can get really, really heavy. So it's heavy times, so do what you enjoy, but send out love and hope and prayers to everybody. Hope everybody's safe and healthy.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing right now. Everybody's just kind of taking it day by day and hoping like we can get back to normal at some point. And that's like the thing Will and I have talked about several times here is like with our work being, on YouTube and podcasting, we've been minimally affected so far. And like before, it's like what we're doing is like such an underdog thing where we're like just scraping by all the time. And now we're in like a very fortunate and lucky spot because not a lot has changed for us. And who knows, in a month or two, if I'm like, well, it's all over. There are no more sponsors for shows or whatever, but
sports have ended officially.
Yeah. But first I want to talk a little bit with the draft coming up, in 2 weeks.
That's right.
They're saying they're going to do it basically like this. But I wanted to get your thoughts on who you think maybe the Broncos should take at 15, if you've been paying attention. If not, just say, I don't know, and we'll move on. But
don't care.
With their pick, I got to think back to when I was in like the 80s, okay, like early 80s when I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. I had these dreams and visions of one day when everybody would be talking to each other on screens, like when they'd come into those buildings and there'd be that virtual secretary to meet them in these futuristic sci-fi movies.
Right.
And now we're doing it. It's like we're on a screen talking to you. Like I can see you. I know I can see your smiles. I can see like where you live kind of, but I don't know you real well, but I'm going to get to know you eventually. We'll meet up and like, you're good, seem like a good guy, but we can't like give a dap or a hug or like a what's up. It's really a strange world. So who are the Broncos going to take at 15? I have no idea. I haven't read one thing about it. Take that, the best defensive, most fast, fierce, biggest, fastest defensive guy you can find, because you're going to need someone that can fly around. If you want to beat Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, good luck if you're going to draft some lead-footed, bulging bulk of a meathead. Go get the most athletic, flying around, whatever he is. If he's a quarterback, if he's a center, if he's a linebacker, if he's Von Miller's replacement, get that guy. Find him, whatever he is.
Most athletic guy available is where
the most freakish athletic guy you can find. And then, if he's tough or not, good luck. Hopefully he'll be tough. Come down here and play the game.
And if that guy's off the board, what I thought you were going to answer, Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver out of Arizona State.
Hey, man, if he's up that high, has he moved up that high in the boards?
They love him. He goes higher every day, I think.
Dude, he's got as a kid and as qualities you would want your child to have for real. Like, obviously I never walked with him through campus or into a party in a dorm room or whatever. I mean, he's a kid. He's in college. I'm sure he had his fun, but he represents and comes off, and from people I talk to in the building at ASU, a solid young man, like straight up, like kind of guy you want to have on your team. And he's got mad skills. I think he's just barely scratching the surface of what his abilities could be. I think he could be a punt returner, kick returner, receiver / running back. Put him in, give him the ball at quarterback, man. Let him go keep changing the NFL. Let's keep bringing in Taysom Hill types, but even less bulky and like want to run you over, more athletics, sinewy, adaptive, because the game's got to get smaller and more lean. It can't keep getting bigger and bulkier and meatier, because everyone's going to think back about what 3 years ago we were all talking about the brain, but we seem to have forgotten that. So, yeah, whatever I just said there.
Right. Well, like when you're watching like the NFL now, like when you went from the Cardinals to the Broncos, a big sort of thing was like, oh, Plummer's going to be a great fit for what they do offensively there. And it feels like your skill set is being so much more like embraced now by NFL offensive coaches, and how it feels like they're building their schemes around maybe some of the more athletic quarterbacks. Like, if you had a chance to be playing like right now, where would you want to play? And do you think like maybe it's the NFL's tooled a little bit more to your skill set?
The game evolves. I mean, I'm going to do we have a podcast I'm doing with a buddy. We haven't launched it yet, but I've got Drew Bledsoe coming on. And there was a couple games early in his career where he threw, 69. I think he's tied with Goff, 65 attempts.
Wow. Yeah, against the Vikings. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're saying like, wow, this throwing game. And then, you got to be these mobile guys. Well, don't forget about Doug Flutie and Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham. And there's been athletic quarterbacks. It's just the game has changed to where now so much more training is going on the other side of the ball.
Right.
For these positions that used to just be like damn near like, the medians between freeways that could move. They were just blocks that were stopping the downhill run and put your athletes on the perimeter. Well, now it's changed, because how can you tell me some of these linebackers have played when I was playing? What would they do when Kyler Murray came up to them if they were big and bulky like that? He'd make them look stupid. He's still making these athletes look like idiots. So, like they never learned how to tackle. So, getting the game slimmed down, those athletic players is huge. And I think with quarterbacks, thank you for saying that, because as any ego-driven, competitor like myself that was a quarterback, I still have an ego. And when you say that, of course, this game is morphing into what would be a dream type game for me, where you could have a mix of everything.
Right.
And just, if you're feeling it, coach, I'm feeling it. Let's go 5 wide, spread these bitches out. Let me shred them. They cannot stop us.
Right.
Then you could do it, because you have the personnel and you have the coach that's willing to push his players, prepare his players. And that's really the hard part, is preparing them, because you want to give them all this, but you also, you hope they can learn it. And, it's a great segue if you guys are ready for that.
Yeah. No, it's like you're a natural at that. But yeah, so tell everybody like what you're working on, and in doing so, like, because it on the website it said you played for 5 different offensive coordinators. So maybe I can set this up so it looks like I know what I'm doing. Which of those offenses was the hardest for you to sort of like learn and wrap your head around? And like, how would what you're doing help you sort of maybe grasp that more quickly?
Yeah, well said.
Was that like a good way to set that up?
Yes, of course. Man.
So
that's it. It's 5 offensive coordinators that all kind of run similar stuff. Obviously, some have different formations or different amounts of runs, and maybe are more run-oriented rather than pass. But most of what I played in was the West Coast offense. So West Coast offenses, as some people know, they're very wordy, because you're saying a concept like flank or drive, but you're putting everybody in a position where we can run flank or drive. It may be the Z is running the drive, one combination, and then the F is, and then your Y is, and then your T is, and your X is. And so you can see where I'm going with this. You got to know everything. And for me, that was the hardest. When I got here to Denver, was just almost every year I had to, day 1, day 2, day 3, about day 4, things started getting murky for me every year. I didn't have a photographic memory. So I spent a lot of time drawing out routes by hand, because I was very tactile. I needed to draw. I needed to have that transmission from my head to my hand and out the pencil. And that's how I did it. And then watch film and do over and over and over. And we've tried to just make that more efficient. Utilize every learning style out there: tactile, auditory, visual, competitive learning when you're doing it around your friends, see who gets the best score. And we've created a drawing tool that's above and beyond any out there to create playbooks for coaches to send to their players so they can study them. And then on the back end, auto-generated tests will be sent back to the coach, the results of how much your players are retaining. And you'll know, cool. Like, all right, time to push them, or, oh, whoa, wait, we better pull this back, coach. They're all getting like 70%. We're not coaching right. And it's going to help the game. It'll help players excel. It'll help them have more fun, less coaches, God damn, and hitting them on the head. My coach in high school, like, God damn, no more peewees. And we're like, what's a peewee? And we're like, we can't beat ourselves. So we'd laugh, that was one of those things. He'd get fired nowadays in this environment we live in for that statement. But you got to know what to do, and it changes every year. You bring in new players. So we're trying to help the game. We're trying to help the trickle down of the Peyton Manning effect of the knowledge that you need to play. That's now slid all the way down to 8-year-old kids that are standing in shotgun, reading if the safety's 1 or 2, and if I got 2 safeties, he's hooking. If it's 1 safety, he's going. Like, that's unfair to this 8-year-old. It's really going to make him hate the game, or he's going to be one of those rare dudes that gets it. So we want to help them all just try to have a better time. So that's really what we're doing. And it's a remote learning tool. So right now we're getting a lot of people interested. A lot of coaches are calling us back, saying, hey, we want to look into this because our kids are all at home when we need to test them and know what they know, because I think we're going to get back to football, but who knows when that will be. But your players will be prepared if they have our stuff in Ready List Sports, for sure.
Yeah, now is definitely the time to get in. They can. And
we, you don't want to profiteer in times of this kind of peril, not just in a town where there's a flood or a tornado. I mean, the whole world right now. But if we can help smooth the transition out of this, and we're not gouging people with the price. We want to get it in your hands so you can, like, less stress, right? Less dealing with things. And right now, football isn't important, but people are at home with some time on their hands, maybe a little bit extra to check it out.
Right. And so you're trying to get this in front of coaches, and is that kind of who you're targeting right now for, like, for people who might be watching this show? It's like, if it's somebody's a high school football coach or a Pee Wee League football coach, this is really for anybody kind of in the coaching industry trying to teach their athletes, like, different parts of the game, how to play the game.
Maybe some guy at home who's like, man, I've always wanted to coach, but I just don't know what my offense would be, is listens to your podcast and goes, dude, $150 I could buy for 6 months this program and, like, build my own playbook. And then, like, could be that guy too. We don't know. We're definitely targeting, NFL for the splash. We've got a couple teams that have used it already, and the Cardinals used it last year. Cool. Tyler loved it, was on it. So, we haven't made big splashes with that yet because of some limitations and restrictions that were put down when the deal was done. But for us, we're just on the cusp, man. And like I said, we want to help these coaches, and could be for the mom that gets volunteered to be the coach now because dad doesn't have time after this to coach the team. So now mom has to fill in. She's like, what do I run? Hey, go to Ready List Sports. It's a preloaded playbook with about 300 plays in there for 11-on-11 down to 4-on-4. Everything's built for you. Just send the plays out to your team, the defenses, and they'll test it, and you can call it, and maybe make it a better, enjoyable, more good time for the family and the kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Thank you. It's not my idea. It's Chad Freehouse, and you guys know probably who Chad was. Colorado School Mines Harlan Hill Trophy winner, quarterback from Brush, Colorado.
Oh, nice.
He's the brainchild, man. He's the genius. I just know people and have the respect, I guess, to have him call me back once in a while.
Nice.
The pretty face, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is did you pay much attention to the new CBA?
A little bit, but not as much as I probably should have.
Well, I was going to ask you, if you were playing today with the legal weed, how much weed would you smoke during the season?
I wouldn't until after, because for me, I never wanted to have any excuse that could be made that would take away or be a detriment or in any way cause someone to say, oh, he wasn't, doing what he said he did. And I was always 100% there and putting in the effort. Not to say that in this environment that I wouldn't try it and see. And if it helped on, Thursday night to get to sleep, because I just spent the day from, 5:30 in the morning till 12 at night, basically having plays run through my head, and then Shanahan would change it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'd have to relearn the entire thing. And it's like, So,
right. Well, I mean,
you're stressed out. I'm grinding my teeth at night. I'm breathing like in my sleep, and I'm having bad symptoms, not resting, and if I could have helped myself wake up and be ready to go and have that extra little bit, then, hell yeah, I would have looked into it, especially to get off of the anti-inflammatories that caused me to have mud butt and break out on my back and feel kind of like I had to just take a shit all the time. It sucked.
Yeah. And when you were playing, like, that's before like anybody was even talking about like Toradol as a bad thing, right? It was just,
oh man, it was just like walk up and just walk through the locker room, go to the spot, pull your butt cheek down, bam.
Yeah, we joke about, like I was like trying to be a little bit funny, like with that question, like how much would you smoke weed? But it's like we know more about it now and what benefits it does sort of provide or can provide, or even with CBD. But to your point, like I'm the type of person who would want that as my excuse if I screwed up. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually the weed is why I made a lot of mistakes.
Why I threw that pick.
Yeah.
The thing that's funny is there were numerous guys I knew were, and I didn't care. It's just, for me, that's just how I handled it. I just felt, throughout all my career, I would have a beer maybe on a Friday night at an event, but I wasn't sitting at home getting drunk ever until maybe after the games. I'd drink some beers to help get to sleep. And as my career went on, there was some use of cannabis to help with easing the stress. And if anybody thinks, oh man, I can't root for Plummer anymore, then good, don't root for me, because I was allowing myself to continue to go out there and bust ass for you fans and the players and my teammates, and lay shit down in a hardcore way that my guys knew I was coming to play no matter what. So I had my remedies, and that's what I did. So I think now it's a great question. And, I would for sure have been taking CBD like crazy all the time. It would have been like intravenous after a game, like shoot me up with that stuff, because it's magical. And hopefully that will help prolong some of these guys, not only careers, but safeguard their post careers a little bit more. And NFL might not even know that allowing some of this stuff they did in the CBA might have just saved the entire NFL from sure death that was happening and going to occur, or become a real weird game, like, a sci-fi movie that we saw in the 80s, man, where only the fittest, strongest, baddest ass, desperate mofos in the world were playing it,
Rollerball. Is that what it is?
I don't know. Yeah, man. Good call. Great.
Sounds like a rollerball scene. If that's an option for you, because you played a full career, you played 10 years. That's a long time to play in the league, but there's still kind of the thought that you retired kind of, I don't want to say early, but you left probably a few years on the field of really good play. Do you think if that's an option for you, you last a little longer, you go a few more years?
That as an option, and being able to opt out of Arizona after year 3 and go to Denver would have kept my career alive a little longer. No offense to the Cardinals. They gave me a lot of chances, and it was a great 6 years. But when reality sets in post-career and you see guys like land on certain teams and win Super Bowls, you're like, man, okay, bad luck. I think it would have. I think that the hemp oils for sure, and whether or not I was smoking marijuana or using THC and, microdosing that alongside, not getting high, but just using enough to benefit from all of its medicinal properties. I can tell you right now that my knees feel better than they did when I retired, and then better than they did 5-6 years even after. And the real thing that happened for me was to get active again and to have the sense of mind that what was bothering me wasn't necessarily maybe all the injuries, but maybe my diet and just not that I was unhealthy, but I would drink beers every night, a few beers, couple beers, ate a lot of sugar, snacked a lot. And then I kind of cut all that out and I dropped some pounds. And now that helps a lot. I feel way better. I can run, jump, do a lot of fun stuff still. So yeah, I left some years on the league, but I bought myself a lot more valuable years post-career that will allow me to, man, when I'm 60, I'm going to still be able to bone out if I got to, so the bus doesn't hit me, you know?
Right. I think we just have one last question, and it's one from Will that he said he has always wanted to ask you. So
yeah, no, this has been stirring in my head for a while. What was it like being the best number 16 quarterback to ever throw a pass to Jerry Rice?
Ooh, what? Well, you know, you're trying to make me feel real good, but I'm a realist too, even though I'm extremely optimistic, because every year the Cardinals, I thought we had a chance. You know, thank you for that, but Jerry Rice, that was so amazing, man, to get to throw the ball to him. I don't think I've ever been that nervous in my life throwing the football to that dude. He ran the first, like, little Oscar 5-yard out route that I got the chance to throw to him. And, man, my butthole was so tight. I was just like, don't mess this up. And then I said, man, come on. And I dropped back and dropped the dime on him, you know. But every time he'd get up, of course, you know, I mean, I'm wearing 16. Montana was like guy I loved and I'd been compared to. You're betting your ass I was trying to put that thing on a dime right where he didn't have to do shit but just like bop. Yeah, you know, which
that's great.
Led to a few bad throws, but it was cool to get to throw to him, and he was a class act, man. He stood up and basically said, I'm not going to take some young kid's spot. I've done my thing. I'm going to step away, and called the team up and told us all that. And what an amazing, I mean, phenomenal dude, just worked his ass off. And you can see why. You know, he'd go in and work out right after practice. 30 minutes, he wouldn't stop, just bam, do almost everything in the weight room. And you look, it'll take me an hour and a half to do what he did in 30 minutes. So efficient, disciplined, badass dude. But thank you. I think he thinks that too. The best number 16 pass he ever got was from me.
Right, exactly.
That's what I thought. You know?
What? And that was like year what, like 8 or 9 for you in the season or in your career?
I think that was year 9, maybe before year 9.
Yeah, so 9 years in the NFL, and you still get the jitters to throw to Jerry Rice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I had the jitters meeting Randall Cunningham after Minnesota beat us in the playoffs. Now I get to go out there and slap, dap with that Randall, man. That was my favorite QB growing up. I mean, awesome to watch him play. So yeah, man, I'm still a fan and a little kid at heart when I get around a lot of these guys because I can remember, you know, how they made me feel as a kid, and that's why sports are so good. And I'm sure a lot of people miss sports right now, but go out and play some games. Go out and play sports. If you got kids, go out and play some games with them. Go invent some games. Go get creative. Go work your ball skills against the side of the wall. You know, you don't have to have football on to live.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Kind of nice not hearing Mel Kiper all the time and Sean McShay and blah, blah. This guy here, this is my draft board. What's different from yours, dude? You know why? Because I don't know, because I think too much. But
yeah,
you know.
People have too much time on their hands.
A little less mock drafts. Well, thanks for joining us today, Jake. Appreciate you having you on. Ready List Sports is what everybody should check out, right?
Yeah, readylistsports.com. And you guys, thank you. Reach out again, man. If you need have more questions you want to ask or whatever. Like I said, I'm awesome. Working, getting all my stuff done, but I'm available to get out. And you guys got a good show. You make me laugh a lot. You guys,
no, I appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, now's not a good time for people to say they don't have the time to do something like this.
Yeah.
We're all busy here.
It's kind of actually mean to reach out right now and be like, hey, man, you want to get on my podcast? You said reach out. Like, damn, how can I tell them no?
Oh, what am I going to say?
Got to think of an excuse quick.
The isolation, the quarantine. We're doing quarantine clinics online, so that's what I'm calling them, the quarantine clinics, football clinics for the coaches. So everyone's staying in touch. So, guys, peace. Everyone be safe and healthy, and hopefully you find some happiness. And thanks for having me on the show today, guys.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Appreciate it. Okay. Wow. Jake Plummer joined us, and probably the biggest interview we've ever done. Neither of us were worried or nervous.
Yeah.
I mean,
Adam
sorry.
Rank, probably still first.
Yeah, we'll rank Adam ahead of Jake Plummer just because Adam's done it twice now. And I've never talked shit about Jake Plummer.
Yeah.
So,
well, if Adam is listening to this podcast, Adam, you're the first. You're the first and the best guest. If Jake is listening to the rest of this podcast, obviously it's Jake Plummer.
Yeah, it was definitely Jake. He's funnier than Adam. He can throw better than Adam.
Better at football, presumably. I've never seen Adam Rank throw football, so.
I've learned the best way to get Adam Rank back on the show is to take some more jabs.
Yeah.
No, actually, we should reach out to him because I would like to talk about Nick Foles to the Bears with him.
True. Talk a lot about the Bears with the Rankster.
Yeah. All right. Well, for the rest of the podcast, we have Chris Johnson, who we're going to discuss.
Yep.
Being accused of a murder plot for hire scenario. He's denied it.
I would hope so.
We need more info to come out there, but it definitely is something that happened today. The Rams owe Clay Matthews, Todd Gurley money, and Sports Talk Barry is killing Twitter right now with fake sports reports that people are believing. And also, I just saw this, but Terry Bradshaw claims Tom Brady is not the best ever. Not even close. He said Dan Fouts was a better quarterback than Tom Brady, which –
Why are you laughing?
Makes me – no, I mean, I would get – because I would get behind that argument. I would get behind – it's like Dan Fouts is probably my least favorite football announcer. Kind of a love-hate with Dan Fouts, but I would support Dan Fouts as a better quarterback than Tom Brady out of principle.
Didn't Fouts throw like 4 interceptions to the same guy in one playoff game?
Probably. Fouts was a good quarterback. It's just such a funny guy to reference.
Yes, like what the fuck? I don't think Bradshaw's like really actually paid attention to football since like 1983. So
no, like it was a TMZ article, and like the first quarterback he referenced was like Roger Staubach as being better than Tom Brady. So it's just pretty funny.
Listen, if you get into a throwing competition with Otto Graham and Tom Brady, I'm taking Otto 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. Fran Tarkenton, I would
slinging Sammy Baugh.
Yeah.
Listen, slinging Sammy Baugh was an all-pro at 2 positions. Tom Brady, only an all-pro at 1.
Look, Bronco Nagurski, if he just committed to playing quarterback, could have been better than Tom Brady.
He could run that Patriots offense.
It's just funny because, look, I get it. Tom Brady's the best quarterback at winning Super Bowls. You can't really dispute that because he has the most. But the thing that bothers me now is it doesn't matter what you're watching when they talk about Tom Brady. They have to throw in the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
It's like that's not part of his name. And if you're talking about something like mundane in like if it's not a conversation about who you think is the best quarterback to ever do it, you don't need to say that every time you talk about Tom Brady. That's just my pet peeve.
No, I totally agree with you, and I've been noticing that more and more. And I mean, you never know. Like a couple of bad years in Tampa, suddenly people don't call him that anymore. Be really a shame, wouldn't it? And we've yet to listen to the Howard Stern interview, aside from like the really newsworthy clips.
Right.
That were
I haven't listened to any.
I listened to a little bit here and there. I'm really surprised that he did that because I don't think he's really ever done anything like that. And it's not a coincidence that as soon as he signs with the new team and leaves New England, he's doing these more salacious, long-form interviews. I mean, he might come on our show pretty soon now that he's a competitive guy, you know. We tell him we got the first guy to ever beat him in the playoffs.
Right. We got his kryptonite.
He wants to come on. Really? Seriously? What was Jake Plummer like? 4-0 against Brady? At least.
So good. He was so good.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's our new angle is we get every quarterback to ever beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl or
on the podcast
game on the show. Yeah. So we got to get
we gotta get Peyton Manning, Eli Manning.
Manning.
Once we get one, getting the other will be easy.
We can knock them all out at once. Who knows?
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, Mark Sanchez.
Sanchez
will do it, I'm sure. Ryan Tannehill.
Ooh, yeah.
Most recently.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
And Flacco.
Is that it? That might be it.
Yeah. When you look at it that way, it's impressive. But what we need to get all of them to talk about is how easy it was to beat him.
Yeah. So I really didn't try that hard.
Wasn't it? I mean, come on. Rex Ryan was my head coach. I did it. I
was asking to get pulled out of the game in the third quarter.
What I wanted to bring up since we're talking about quarterbacks is, okay, Sports Talk Barry, who has, I don't even know how many Twitter accounts, but he is now president of Fake Sports Center, but he made an article that Colin Kaepernick signed with the New York Jets. I think he did another one that Cam Newton signed with the Patriots. Yeah. And I believe both of them got at least momentarily picked up by other legit Twitter accounts. And it's funny if you know that account.
Which we both do and have for some time.
And we've talked about before because they keep getting suspended too, right?
Yeah, it's basically a game of whack-a-mole with his Twitter account.
He just makes a new one, and
he has one ready before the current one gets suspended.
Yeah, I think he's got a YouTube channel too because he dropped
he does.
He's very anti-Tom Brady, which is why I probably followed him. But he dropped like a John Elway video. It was like John Elway, all of John Elway's rocket passes, and it's just like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I don't remember how long it was. Just pass after pass of Elway firing lasers. And then he did with Peyton Manning. Both of those were pretty cool. So
I thought he was like anti-Elway.
No.
Like he used to – I know he at one point one of his big takes was that Elway was like one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time, which is like a strong take for someone who wasn't old enough to watch him play live.
If you didn't watch Elway play,
doesn't have access to most of his games, just has Pro Football Reference.
Yeah, when people compare like Patrick Mahomes to John Elway, that's like a fair representation of how much Patrick Mahomes has to go before he's elite.
Correct.
But he's on the way.
Sure.
Just watch the old tape, and you're like, well, Patrick Mahomes can get there.
One day, maybe.
One day.
Yeah.
But I think it's like when you watch a bunch of Elway throws, and you have an appreciation for arm strength. Like,
yeah, and not just like velocity, but like where he was on the field to like other spots on the field. Like, roll all the way to the left, throw it all the way to the right, 50 yards. Like, no one's ever done that before, especially back then. Like now it's kind of commonplace for quarterbacks to like practice throwing off platform and like at weird arm angles. But before then, like who was like the strongest arm quarterback people talked about? Like probably the guy we mentioned earlier, Terry Bradshaw was kind of the guy with the strong arm who was going deep in Super Bowls. And no one had ever seen anything. He was a specimen. He was essentially a specimen.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of one of the points that Plummer brought up that was interesting. Like quarterbacks and, they do so much more like training kind of now, like to prepare for those sort of things.
Yeah.
Like the way I saw this app the other day advertised for like teaching kids how to dribble basketballs. And it's like you put your iPad and the iPad follows the basketball and you just move the basketball to match like what's going on in the iPad to like train kids to drink. And like these kids were like 9 and they're just, I'm like, dang, like that shit is crazy.
No, that's strange. We're so like the hyper training of athletes is absurd these days. And between that and just like advancements in fitness and nutrition.
Yeah.
Like anyone who doesn't think that an athlete from 2020 could go, dominate, like a guy like on the fringe of the roster in the year 2020 could go be, the unanimous NFL MVP in like 1978.
Yeah, it's like there's like that nostalgic sort of stigma that everything was tougher and harder back then, and athletes were, oh my God.
Got a visitor.
That creeped me out for a second. That like modern athletes couldn't play back then, but they could. Like some of the rules were a little more violent, and that might take a little bit, like getting your head slapped if you're a left tackle by a defensive lineman. It might take a while to get used to that.
Oh yeah, but like imagine like Deacon Jones trying to head slap Quentin Nelson, and Quentin Nelson just grabbing his hand and just throwing him onto the other side of the field.
Yeah, like the linemen who've been practicing like martial arts hand fighting, so they know how to combat that stuff. Like a head slap gets, I don't know. It would be fun to watch.
Aaron Donald giving John Hanna a titty twister on the way to his 10th sack of the game. Yeah.
Double titty twister.
Double titty.
Okay, so
the dreaded triple titty twister. Triple nipple.
2,000-yard running back Chris Johnson is being accused of a murder for hire plot. I'm going to read because TMZ was the first to report it. I'm just going to read what they wrote, and then we'll discuss. Long story short, officials believe CJ2K rewarded a gang member with cash after the guy allegedly killed 2 men who were suspected of gunning down Johnson's friend in 2015. Here's the backstory. Johnson nearly died in a shooting in Orlando, Florida, back on March 8, 2015, when Orange County Sheriff officials say someone opened fire on a Jeep that Chris was in at around 4 a.m. Johnson suffered a bullet wound to his shoulder, which they have a picture of on TMZ, made a full recovery. But the driver of the vehicle, his friend, Drekius Johnson, did not survive the attack. So, obviously, like this is one of those things we're going to have to wait for more information to come out because those are pretty serious charges. It seems like there's something there, but I don't know. What did you think when you saw that today?
Yeah, no, I immediately went to it's going to make a really, really good Netflix series in about 3 years.
Right, and you found the best audio clip of Chris Johnson scoring a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, I
just a long run.
My mind immediately went to Gus Johnson with his classic call. He's got get away from the cop speed. It was funny because like even back then people were like, oh, that's problematic, and this is like 2009, 2010. And
right, I was going to ask you, like, was that a big story back then?
I guess so, but like the NFL put it in. They put it in like a clip package of Gus Johnson's best calls like a year ago. So,
he's got to get away from the cops. Jesus God Christ! I
mean, if Gus Johnson had been white, probably wouldn't have gone very well. Safe to say. So
yeah, and that's who you wrote in to narrate my sex tape, right?
Yes. Oh, you gotta get someone to spice it up a little bit. Down the sideline.
Yeah, I thought Chris Collinsworth would be a natural for that as well. But I mean, obviously, I hope this story is not true about Chris Johnson. Mainly because I believe paying people to murder other people isn't good. Explain. That's my stance.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing, Will.
What's your opening argument?
If you have more murders, it is worse than if you have less.
Interesting.
That's my
I've
official
never
take.
really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Important to note that
Sorry, I need a shower.
if someone attempts to murder you and fails, what's like the window? Because like if someone attempts to murder you and fails, and like in self-defense you kill them, that's like protected in some states. That's I don't.
That's interesting. Like what
he just happened to like take his time here.
So his biggest crime was taking too much time to retaliate.
His biggest time was he procrastinated.
That's just crazy. Like, I forgot that he got shot too.
I did too, yeah. And then like played for the Cardinals later that year and was really good.
Yeah, he had like a resurgence. And it was fun to watch. Like I don't know, like he was a player I always really liked watching. Because I don't know, he was just like a different running back.
Yeah.
You're just so fast. You're so damn fast.
Definitely the most random player to run for 2,000 yards, though, I think. I remember like not really like resonating at the time. I was like I didn't know that he was even close to 2,000 until he broke 2,000.
Well, I guess who would be more random, him or Jamal? Was it Jamal Williams?
Jamal Lewis.
Yeah, God.
He ran for. I think he might have like. No, we got OJ. Obviously, I think is the least random.
Yeah, Jamal Lewis had 2,066 yards in 2003, and then his next best season, 1,300. Well, his first 3 seasons, he was a fucking beast.
They'd have Jamal Lewis playing
1,300.
They'd have him playing nose tackle these days.
They'd have Jamal Lewis play nose. Yeah.
Probably got like 2,066 rushing yards and like 12 receiving yards.
Well, so this is crazy then, but O.J. Simpson, 2,000 yards, 14-game season, right? Legendary. If Chris Johnson, if it turns out he is guilty of this, and 2 of your, let's see, O.J. did it, Terrell.
O.J.
Barry,
did do it.
Yeah. O.J., Terrell, Barry, Lewis, Johnson. Those are the 5. And Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, was the last one to do it.
Half of those guys have done, or you could argue have done some pretty shitty things.
Yeah. No, AP.
What the fuck? That's crazy. That is weird. That is, oh man, I want to get Larry Johnson to talk about what kind of devil Illuminati connection being a 2,000-yard rusher.
I think when you're that fast, you respect the law a lot less than the normal person because you literally have getting away from the cop's speed. Like worst comes to worst. Oh, what are you gonna do? Chase me down? I don't think so.
Yeah, you're not worried.
Ran for 2,000 yards against elite athletes.
It's crazy. OJ, the way OJ did it too is probably one of the most impressive single season performances that will ever happen by a running back.
Yeah, 14 games with like a pretty shitty team.
Yeah, it's just
like
crazy.
Joe Ferguson as his quarterback.
And today we get to hear him rant about his golf course getting shut down.
Yes, this is O.J. Simpson, the real victim of all this.
I go back and forth on how much I hate and love the internet every time I listen to an O.J. Simpson thing.
That's the thing is like if without the context, O.J. would be held up as like one of the most wholesome, like genuine people on the internet.
Yeah, no, his takes aren't
no
bad.
idea of anything that happened 20 years ago.
Yeah, if he didn't kill somebody, then
5 years ago.
His point of view on sports-related issues, he puts some thought into and tries not to be reactionary.
Yeah, you're like, oh, look at this like cute old man who used to play football. Used to be in all those movies. Almost played the Terminator.
We should
Terminator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that true?
That's true.
Wow. Oh, man, what a different world we'd be living in if that happened.
Who knows? Who knows? Like, James Cameron could have changed the world.
Coulda.
Had he not cast Arnold in that movie and just gone with his original choice, OJ.
Wow, that's crazy.
I like to picture OJ like doing Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice, though.
OJ doing an Arnold impression for all of Terminator.
Hello, Skynet.
Twitter world, yours
Hello,
truly.
Skynet. It's yours truly, and I'll be back with weapons.
Come with me if you want to live.
Things that are not true.
Yeah.
Things that have freezing cold takes.
Have we talked about the Rams logo on here? Or just done episodes? I know
we've done episodes. I mean, we can.
Well, it's just interesting.
Say that it really sucks.
Yeah, we're not supporters of the logo, and we talked about it in the episode this week, though, that the Rams acknowledged that the fans hate the logo. They did this mean tweets thing, and then they also said they're going to do nothing about it, that they're sticking with it.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out that they're late on paying Clay Matthews and Todd Gurley. They're also $3 billion over budget on their stadium.
It might not open on time.
It still might not. It's already late opening. Might not open on time.
You're gonna have Hard Knocks there to capture all of the dysfunction.
Yeah, 2-team Hard Knocks: Chargers, Rams, and the Raiders in Las Vegas seem to be outshining them every way possible in terms of stadium looking pretty awesome.
Yeah,
being complete on time. Overselling their projected ticket sales.
Mark Davis, of all people, donated like 85% of his net worth.
Yeah, Mark Davis, huge donation for the most poor owner in the league.
After donating all of his net worth to PF Chang's, he is – I can't – we're getting in dangerous territory right there.
Well, is the PF Chang thing even real with Mark Davis, or is that just?
No, that's real. No.
Because also it's the Chargers Twitter account, also was would tweet about PF Chang's a lot. So
I think we need to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, that's some investigate. You have a journalism degree, so why don't you?
I'm gonna make some calls.
Once May starts, Will, and we literally have nothing to talk about, I want you to get to the bottom of PF Chang's and Mark Davis.
My guess, without doing any sort of research, is that it was like someone's personal Twitter account, and then they converted it to the team account. So we need a Twitter for the team. This guy's already got a few followers. Why don't we just rebrand here?
There we go.
And they didn't delete his old tweets. But we should find that out for sure.
We should
make a great episode.
I like Mark Davis. He's a character to make fun of, but in terms of like NFL owners, he's so ambiguous, I guess. Like he's never really been in. He's so much different, I guess, than Al Davis, who really seemed like an evil sort of guy. Mm-hmm. He was like, he's basically like Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader because he did so much good and then he turned into this like evil sort of figure. It's just weird.
Very malevolent, ghostly figure.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like I have no hard feelings towards Mark Davis.
No, I don't either.
I actually like him. Just make fun of him too much.
Well, brother, you gotta get a haircut if you think. If you want us to stop making fun of you.
Yeah. It's the best look. Okay. So we've got the draft coming in 2 weeks, Will. I think we'll probably podcast next week talking more about the draft.
Should we live stream during the draft?
I thought about that and I was going to do that, but I think we will be better suited to really focus and pay attention to the draft because I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that could go wrong that it'll be better if we're writing for that live.
Some really funny stuff that goes wrong.
Yeah. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be super like clean and nothing happens and it's kind of boring and lame because it's this weird version of the draft. But I feel like there's going to be some technical issues.
Wow. Believe it or not, the man tabbed to go number 1 overall, Joe Burrow, has fallen to number 23 overall, where the Patriots have their first selection. Who would have thought something like this could have happened?
There's been a weird glitch in the draft selection where you cannot select Joe Burrow.
The Patriots have made a 3-way trade involving the Cincinnati Bengals and Houston Texans. The Texans give up 5 future first-round picks. The Patriots give up a conditional 2021 7th-round pick, and they will assume the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
I think I would want to see Bill Belichick figure out a way to get Joe Burrow. So,
I mean, if he can do it, he deserves him, honestly.
So he could beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Damn.
Mm.
That one hits.
What would you rather see? Bill Belichick get like a really good quarterback in this draft, or him take Jared Stidham to the playoffs?
I mean, turning Jared Stidham into a playoff quarterback would be really funny.
Yeah, I think that's the more impressive move.
Yeah.
I think that helps Belichick more because I'm rooting for Belichick's success over Tom's, because it will help me be correct about my evaluation.
What happens if they both just like suck from now on?
Then we know they needed each other, like most coaches and quarterbacks do.
That's fair.
Like all the other good quarterbacks and coaches needed each other, except for Peyton Manning, who made every coach he played with good.
Yeah.
Oh,
people forget. Good coach.
God, how impressive that is! 4 coaches to the Super Bowl. Get out of here.
Jim Caldwell took 2 coaches to the Super Bowl their first year.
Yeah.
Took Jim Caldwell to a Super Bowl.
Took John Fox back. Took Gary Kubiak. I mean, he took Gary Kubiak to the Super Bowl, and he was a broken human.
He took John Fox to the Super Bowl while John Fox had no idea what was going on in the field. He was listening to Jimmy Buffett on his headset on the sideline, and Peyton's like, just get out of the way. To be fair,
if Peyton Manning was my quarterback, that's all. I would just have music pumping into my headphones too.
Yeah.
Talk to the OC, Peyton. I'm coaching the defense.
Actually, Peyton, we're going to have you call defensive plays from now on, too. Honestly, you could make a great defensive coordinator, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Peyton Manning would be a great defensive coordinator in the XFL. Yes. Because you can talk to your defense the whole time. Or I guess offensive coordinator.
Like Sean McVay and Jared Goff.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have anything more I need to talk about. What about you, Will?
Let's really quickly touch on Tua Tagovailoa.
Is it tongue?
It is tongue. There is no N in his name, and yet you pronounce it with an N.
That just blows my mind.
Beats me. He was like engineered in a factory to get you to fuck up in a video.
That's wild. Yeah, his name is – so it's not Tagovailoa, it's Tagovailoa.
People are going to call him Tagovailoa, and people are just going to call him Tua.
I'm going to call him tongue violin.
The tongue violin. Yeah, that sounds like a sex act.
So most people are trying to get their kids good at sports. When I have a kid one day, I'm going to get him good at tonguing violins.
Yes.
He will be the Beethoven.
Yo-yo, yeah.
Yo-yo ma.
Yo-yo ma.
Yo-yo ma. You wanted to talk about him.
Yeah, Tua. I guess so.
Tua, not Yo-yo ma.
We'll talk a little yo-yo too.
Want to talk about Yanni?
Yeah. So anyway, Trent Dilfer has said that Tua throws better than Aaron Rodgers and Dan Marino.
Wow.
And is a future Hall of Famer. This is tough, man. This is tough because we've already seen Tua throw.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen him play in Alabama for 2 years.
You're high on Tua, assuming he can be healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take Burrow first, but then I would definitely take Tua over Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think I
most
feel the
people
same
would
way.
too. I really just don't care for Herbert very much, and that'll probably come out in our draft quarterback episode.
Coming up soon.
Coming out pretty soon.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we're the master of segues here. Actually, Jake Plummer did a better segue in his interview than either of us have ever attempted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like he's already better at podcasting than you and I.
Oh, he's been dealing with media his whole life.
True.
So he knows how to talk to idiots like us and make us look dumb.
Yeah, I mean, yes, like he is very experienced with media, but he's a cool dude. But I think he sees you and I as like just like friends, like good pals to pal around with.
I think it's fair to say Jake Plummer loves us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he didn't confirm. I don't know.
It's fair to say that he had more fun doing this podcast than he's ever had playing football.
Anything. Yeah.
So
probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good laugh when I asked him what it's like being the best 16 to throw to Jerry Rice. And he agreed.
I want to give people the backstory on that because so we did the live movie stream last week, which was fun. Didn't go exactly as we wanted, but it was
still
fun
successful.
Enough.
Yeah.
And then after the live stream, we probably talked for another 20 minutes because we were both a little buzzed. And you were like, you said after that, you're like, we should get Jake Plummer on the podcast. He'd be fun to talk to because I've always wanted to ask him that question.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Jake texted me the next day saying, hey, I want to do your show. I've got this thing I'm working on I want to talk about. And I was just like, holy shit. That's so bizarre. Yeah. So with that in mind, who would you want next, Will?
Damn.
And I will wait for them to text me tomorrow to confirm if you have the superpower.
That is a great question. That is a great – I mean,
because Jake's so hard – that's a hard guess to top.
Yeah, no, I don't think like it's gonna be hard to get a cooler guy than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as football goes, like it would be cool to have Drew Lock on, I guess.
Yeah, Lock would be fun.
He's chilling. He seems like he can hang with the boys a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
Probably not too many canned answers. Like he's pretty authentic. As far as anybody, we've been trying to get John Hamm on the podcast for a while.
Gotta get that John Hamm.
We gotta get John. Yeah, it'd be nice to get Dave Damashek on too, because that's how we get one step closer to Hammy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah, we gotta do it one step at a time.
And that's why we think Tua will be a good quarterback.
That's why Tua is gonna be a good quarterback, because John Hamm is coming on the show.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to this bullshit yet again. Stay safe.